hope you are having a great day. It is the 10th of February today, and you guys can see I do have the Modern Trader Summit up. The tickets are selling. This year is going to be even better than last year, so definitely check it out. And I have a new speaker that will be coming on board this week. Very, very excited about it. So definitely check it out. Probably Wednesday I should have it updated, and I'm going to be announcing who is joining the speaker list. Amazing guy. Very, very excited, but I just want to make sure it's all in concrete before I announce it. So go ahead and check that out. Also, if you guys haven't already, I'm always trying to give you guys resources that are great. You know, I did write my book that is a great resource from anyone with experience from 5 months to 25 years in there. So definitely check it out. Available on Kindle as well as Barnes & Noble, everywhere pretty much you can order books. So let's go ahead and get into it this week. So we have the SPY here. I always start off with the ETFs of the indexes, right? So we have the SPY, and I mentioned it before in my blog posts. Hey, back in 2008 when we had that major crash, went down and on that weekly chart touched the 200-day moving average. Boom, we did that this year, December, the week of December 24th, 25th, 26th, right? And then we bounced up, and this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 week bounce to bring it up to that 50 period moving average, so a 50-week moving average, which back in 2008-9 crash, it took 11 weeks. So things are moving faster in this market with the algorithmic trading, everybody being squeezed, thinking, oh, this is going to be a big bear market. Well, look at this. This is a pretty big squeeze right now. And when we back it out on that daily chart, you can see we are just above the 8 EMA, below the 4 EMA. It looks like we've touched the 120 simple moving average. It is pulling back down. This is a weekly trend line right here that I have. And it looks like we might be coming back down. Maybe we'll touch this 50 moving average this week at 261.23, but right now it looks like we are somewhat testing that. And what we did before in the downward trends was they would bring it down, pop it up, either end of day or pop it up at the beginning of the day, and then sell it off even further. So I'm looking to see if that trend is going to continue again. You know, we had a major sell-off. They brought it down during the middle of the day, 11:45, just before lunch, found its bottom, and then rallied up into the end of the day. Maybe this was just a Friday rally, shorts getting out before the end of the week. And on the 15-minute, it looks like it broke down. It looks like it's been holding below the 50 moving average fairly well since the downward turn on the 15-minute chart. So that's for the SPY. Let's go ahead and check out the Russell IWM. So again, came up, spiked up, pulled back down, found a low that matched on Thursday. And then on NASDAQ, let's check it out. NASDAQ, we had that same scenario. We found the low right at around 11:45, just the end of lunch, and then came running up. So looking to see where it is when we open on Monday on our daily charts for the averages, especially with the SPY, because the options are just amazing. You know, traded some same-day options and got 300–400% ROI on those. So that is amazing. As well as Amzn. You know, with all this news with Bezos, yes, they had great earnings back here, and then look, it touched the 200-day moving average and it pulled right back down. Really, we haven't been able to hold above this, and we'll see with all this news with Bezos, with his divorce that's going on. You know, if you were to have to sell, that's going to devalue it some. All the negative press that's going on right now, it's causing it to pull back. Plus the negative forward statement for the company as far as the potential growth. You know, it's still amazing with sales, but the growth is looking like it's going to be slower for the company coming up. So just watching to see. I think, in my personal opinion, that this might pull back up closer into Monday before we have further of a downward trend. It is showing a little bit, you know, it's down on the RSI. The commodity channel index is showing it's down below 100, negative 100. Many times you'll start to see that reversal. We have this higher volume hammer right here, so it could be going back up. Of course, the market's going to decide. And as always, guys, I used to have my Series 7. It is no longer current, so please do your due diligence and trade with proper risk management, as there are no guarantees in any sort of investment. So let's get into the long list for the week. We do have U, B, and T. So I've got 121. This is an old one right here. 121.57. It gapped up with earnings on Friday and have a support to watch of 121.57. Resistance of 126.91. On the 15-minute chart, you can see it really gapped up on Friday, came up here, tested, and then it pulled back down. And so that's why I've got that as support. And this one does have 13.8 million in the float and 20% short float volume on Friday. Next, we have Riot, which Riot had a nice upward trend all day on Friday, ended up fairly strong on the day, and I would put a support of 224 and a resistance of 245. This one does have 13.2 million in the float and 62.48% short float volume on Friday. So that might have a squeeze going into the open, and we are above the moving averages. If you guys ever use the ribbon, you can see that it has flipped and curled up around here. Massive volume right there. So we could keep this on watch for further squeeze potential, especially with the lower float. And next one on the long list, we have ads, which is Alliance Data System. So I have this one on the long list, even though it gapped down from earnings, because it is so close to this gap fill right here. So we had this earnings where it dropped down on Thursday and then a major rebound on Friday. Let me see if we can go like this. You can see that we had big volume on Thursday, probably a lot of stops got executed, and then it bounced fairly well on Friday. So looking for it to hold support of 159.60 and potential breakout of 164.47. If it does break that, then it looks like we're going to have this gap fill, which the low of the day prior before this gap was 179.17. This does have 47.8 million in the float and 34.59% short float volume. If we look at it on that 15-minute chart, let me go ahead and bring it to auto do it. So it ran up the beginning of Friday, pulled back to a support level, which was from the prior day. It was a resistance, and then it sort of upward grinded all day into the close, just like the market did. So looking for this to potentially break again that 164.50 really, and then we've got potentially $7 move to the upside of that gap to fill. Next on the long list is Nete. This one had a nice run up on Friday. Look at that massive volume right here when it broke out. So that one, we've got that one to potentially watch as well for support of 630, resistance of 650. And Nete does have 2.92 million in the float and 58.57% short float volume on Friday. When a lower float stock tends to have such a high short float volume, many times you will see a squeeze going into that second day. The second and third day can be very cautious because the shorts might start piling in, but many times that first day, the newer shorters to the lower floats end up getting squeezed and burned. So keep that on watch. But as quickly as these go up, look, it was down at 6, and then it ran up to 650. So not that much of a move. You know, you had a smaller move for overall for a lower float stock of 2.9 million, but keep it on watch. And on the yearly chart for Nete, you can see we're at a point where we've got the 50-period moving average, simple moving average, 200 together right at 657. So if it breaks right there, that could really squeeze it up. You know, I would say potentially next resistance, $7, $7.25, then 8 as well for that. Going into our last potential long for Monday, we'll get rid of this. Huh, very interesting. I don't actually have the levels drawn. EGAN. I must have put a different stack because I have 159, 159.6 and 164.47. Let's go ahead and we'll bang this one out. So we've got our support right here and our resistance. Don't know what other stock I was doing. I did it late at night. So 10.55 for support, resistance of 11.15 on the yearly chart. Great earnings, right? And this one, let's check it really quickly. short squeeze. This is how I do it, guys. This is how I get my info. So Egan, 9.18 million in the float. And we'll check volume bot for the short float volume. Volume bot for EGAN. 38.45. So I had all that in right. I just had some other levels wrong on my chart there. Okay, so 10.55 and 11.14 for those levels for potential. Look, we are in a gap fill here to the low of 12.50. So this one could easily run that $1.50 on Monday if some volume starts piling into it. And it looks like it was a winner for earnings, so that could continue on the upward side. On to our shorts, we have Nxpi had earnings and it tanked down on Friday. Going to our 15-minute chart, you can see we have support of 86.98 and resistance of 88.72. This one does have 251 million in the float, another semiconductor. And we've got PLT Plantronics that also had earnings on Thursday, and then, oh, excuse me, on the 5th. And then, why is it? Oh, it's on 151 minutes. There we go. So 15-minute chart. So Friday, it came down, dropped down, found support right here, pretty much held that all day. So I would be looking for 43.97 to break down. There is bigger volume going into the end of the day, which many times you will see. And it's pretty consistent volume all day. But we did have bigger volume when it started to sell off up here. So looking for that, for potential gap fill to the downside down here to 40.44. So 43.97 for support, 44.37 for resistance, 26.3 million in the float. And you go and you see it on the daily chart, you see this big gap. That's why it's really interesting. It could go ahead and gap down, especially if the market overall has that downward trend, could pop up and down turn into the middle of the day. Next we have Armk. So Armk, same thing, earnings negative, downwards. It's below a lot of the moving averages. I would look for 31.94 for support to be broken and 32.23. When we look at it on our 15-minute chart, you can see it pulled back all day, bounced here, came up, tested that area of resistance, and pulled back down. So watching for that to break going into Monday. And it does have 244 million in the float. Next, we have TSN, Tyson Foods. On our 15-minute chart, you can see on Thursday, earnings came out. It had a nice V to it. So it had a big drop down, and then it bounced up. Further drop down the second day, and then it just sort of channeled right here between 58.94 support and 59.32 resistance. So looking for that trade to break either the support or the resistance, seeing that it bounced fairly nicely these 2 days, it could be a potential long as well, but that's why these are potential shorts and potential longs. And this channel right here is where it was definitely holding. There were bigger sellers up here and bigger buyers down here, so there's no clear direction right at the moment, but it was a negative from earnings. So we might see a further negative day going in on Monday. Tyson does have 291 million in the float. Last one on the short list is BCE. BCE, again, an earnings loser on Thursday, dropped down, and then it held in this channel area. So same scenario, looking for a break one way or the other of 43.08 for support or 43.27 for resistance. And this one does have 897 million in the float. I also have two potential longs for us for the longer term. So we have GG, gold, which we are seeing a lot of movement in gold right now overall in the whole sector. So looking for this one to break out above 11. If it does break the 200-day moving average here of 11.39, this one could have a nice run up to the 13 area. So just keep that one on watch. If you were to get into it, I would say look at potentially that 10.47 level of support to be a potential exit if you were to get in around the 11 area, just in my opinion. Next one for potential long is PANL, Pangea. So here we have it on the daily. chart, right? And it seems like it's found that nice support down here around 290 and a resistance of 310. So looking for it to break, actually I would say looking for a break of 320 for it to go ahead and continue on up. And it looks like it might have a nice move to it. This one does have the ability to really run up. You can see this was earnings back in November of 2017 where it had a major run up. Again, earnings here, August of 2018, had a nice spike. So this one is a slower mover. You know, the gains on it, if it went from 310 to 350, is going to be fairly nice gains if you have a larger position. However, you do want to be fairly tight on that stop. The last one I have is going into natural gas. So NGS would be one of the natural gases available. And the reason why I have this is, let me bring up this chart over here of natural gas, which I'll show you the website. This is from equityclock.com. So you can see here, natural gas drops typically for seasonality into the middle of February. So we're right about there. So we're right somewhat here on the February chart. Well, you might not be able to see it. Let me move it over a little bit. Hold on here. Can I move it? All right, so this one you might not be able to, hold on, let me just, there we go. Okay, so here we have the seasonality where it goes down middle of February and then runs up towards the end of February. So this one might have a nice move going into it. And if you were to trade the ETFs, which are potential, you know, 1-2 times the movement, you might be able to make some great gains. Just like there was a big drop down, there was also larger volume on Ugaz, which is another reason why I'm looking at this one. You can see Ugaz had major volume on February 7th, excuse me, which found it, I've just been using Bollinger Bands a little bit on the dailies now, and it brought it down almost to the bottom. And I drew this channel line, and it looks like it's down in the bottom of the channel. Potential run up for 2 weeks. As far as how far it could go, not sure. I did personally enter this at 27.52 back here on the 7th. Once I saw that there was a nice bottom there, let me pull it back out even 45 minutes. Even better, let's go to 5-minute chart where you can see back here on, we did have this massive volume right here, and then more volume coming in down here at the end of the day, 25.62, and it bounced right here. So it was holding support, and it ran up, and it's been holding above that level. So in my opinion, with that seasonality, I think that there might have been some good buying coming into it going forward. Now, Equity Clock is that website right here, equityclock.com. Always looking to try to give you guys some great free tools. So if there's a stock that you are trading, you could plug it in. Apple might be one, and you might look for it and see, hey, okay, so Apple seasonality pretty much runs up, and it's great throughout the end of the year. It starts out lower, you know, in January, and then it sort of finds a middle ground here in April and then continues on up. So just check it out. Check out the site and see how you like it. As always, guys, if you like my content, please like and subscribe. Definitely check out the moderntradersummit.com and carpe profit one trade at a time. Have a great week ahead.